Hey everybody, it's Mike from Electric City Sentai DenziCaster, and this week is part 1 of our 4-part look at Power Rangers Dino Supercharge. Now, there's got to be a place to plug this thing in on here. Alright folks, part 1, like I said, of our 4-part look at Power Rangers Dino Supercharge here on the DenziBlitz. And if you are at home and you are following along, we're using the full season release from Lionsgate, although this was released at first in 2 installments, 2-disc sets. So we're actually on disc 1, the first half of the Roar DVD set. And I've got to say here, we watched episodes 1 through 5. That's When Evil Stirs, Forgive and Forget, Nightmare in Amber Beach, A Date with Danger, and Roar of the Red Ranger. So first and foremost, let's get some real quick synopses out of the way here. When Evil Stirs essentially is a Coda/Tyler story. It focuses more on Coda. It also reintroduces Heckle as now our main villain for Dino Supercharge. He first shows up middle towards the end of Dino Charge of Season 1, which, this one, of the series, and basically is a one-and-done kind of monster, although they give him a whole lot of build-up. You can tell that the idea to switch over to him was there from pretty much the very beginning, with the way they treat him in Dino Charge in sort of Season 1 of this 2-season format. But this basically serves to reintroduce his character and put him in place as the big bad guy, with our villain faction now operating out of the remnants, the crashed spaceship of Sledge, who is missing and presumed destroyed at this point. Nobody has seen him since the end of the first season. Episode 2, Forgive and Forget, we see Riley, our Green Ranger, sort of put up as the Brainiac, which we've seen him in the role of being a very intelligent character throughout Season 1, but never really put in the Billy Genius Ranger gets bullied role. But that's sort of what they're portraying him as here, because we see one of his old high school chums who was the superstar athlete, who constantly put him in his place. And combined with this, basically a monster from Season 1. There was a Season 1 monster in the first episode, too. Ice Age, the first monster of Dino Charge, becomes the first monster of Dino Supercharge. Stingrage returns, and they use his venom to make people forget, which in this case includes the Rangers, until they create an antidote, and Heckle and his monstrous alter ego Snide sort of begin a bickering back and forth relationship that we see in earnest. It's teased a little bit in episode 1, but we see it in earnest here as they start to change each other's plans. Nightmare in Amber Beach is essentially, I'm going to be perfectly honest because I just got done watching all these episodes, there's not a whole lot to it. Nightmare in Amber Beach is a sleep monster who was far more compelling in Kyoryuger than he was here. But it is a monster that essentially puts people to sleep with pillows and causes them to have nightmares. In the case of the Rangers, they see everyone as the enemy. You can imagine how poorly that can go. There's a little bit of hilarity that ensues. It more or less focuses on the Pink Ranger and her want and desire to be a paleontologist, despite the fact that her family runs a multinational, multi-million-dollar ice cream company that her father wants her to inherit. So it's more or less a focus on Pink. A Date with a Ranger focuses on Chase, our Black Ranger, when his ladies' man persona and being the show off doesn't really pan out for him. We have a girl that flat out dumps him, but she falls in love with the Black Ranger, and he can't tell her that they are one and the same. So he more or less learns how to respect and treat women by taking her on a date as the Black Ranger. So you have that particular episode, the Monster of the Week, and that one's not overly memorable, to be honest. And then part 5, episode 5 here is Roar of the Red Ranger, which introduces, here they refer to it as the Dino Supercharge mode. It is, for want of a better term, it is our battleizer for the season, is the way it seems. In Kyryuger, it was Kiryu Carnival. But it introduces that mode. It also introduces the Aqua Ranger in earnest, and it introduces it as Tyler's dad. And we have the reunion of Tyler and his father, who, like I said, come to find out is the Aqua Ranger in part 5. So, likes and dislikes. Let's get going from Jump Street. I'm going to be honest, folks. This one left a lot to be desired, especially after Dino Charge. Season 1 of Dino Charge, to me, had very few filler episodes. Very few episodes that you could literally pluck out of the series with little to no consequence. That concept made up 60% of this disc. And while filler is not always bad, far from it, in my opinion, a lot of times, filler really does help in a lot of ways a show, because it can build the world, it can build a character, it can do a lot of things that it's not necessarily furthering the overarching plot of a series or the meta plot, if you will, but it can further a particular character, and it can give you more insight and more sympathy and more like or dislike or trust or distrust of particular characters or other elements of the world. Here, we get a focus episode on Green, who we are very familiar with after season 1. We get a focus episode on Black, and we get a focus episode on Pink. And we learn nothing new about those characters through those episodes. If anything, they're learning lessons they should have already learned by now. In Forgive and Forget, it is all about Riley learning to overcome a rivalry, to overcome a distrust and a dislike of someone simply because they tease you or they bully you. It's learning to face your bully, to overcome them through peaceful means, and to not stoop to their level, sort of thing, which is a wonderful message. But we've already seen Riley have to overcome personal bias and hard feelings and things like that through season 1. All we really do here is we add a bully to the mix, which I think was unnecessary because they've never really established Riley as a character that has been bullied, or give him any traits that would make him susceptible to bullies up to this point. In the kids' television show way of speaking, that is. Then Nightmare in Amber Beach, where we have essentially the Pink Ranger trying to prove herself. It's the Miss Morgan plot from the entirety of season 1, where she wants to prove to Miss Morgan that I'm more than just a waitress, that I can be a valued member of your staff. It's a plot that started before she was even a ranger. And by the end of season 1, she's pretty much accepted as a member of the team in good standing and highly valued, and she is accepted as a colleague by Miss Morgan, pretty blatantly in season 1. So to introduce her father here, and for the plot to be, well, I'm more than just your daughter and the heir to your ice cream empire. I want to be a paleontologist. It's the same plot line with a different antagonist, a different emotional antagonist. Date with a Ranger, with the Black Ranger going on a date and having to learn how to treat women. Again, this is something that should have already been established in season one. There's no point in it being here. The only thing that I can think of, because we see Chase in season one be the reckless, full of himself type character where that all bites him in the rear over the course of the season, and he has to learn from it. So there's no point in it here. The only thing that I can actually think of as a rationale for doing this is to, one thing they do pull off here on disc one is every single disc gives a focus episode to one of the Rangers. So, out of the core five. So, perhaps it was simply, let's reintroduce our heroes. Because this would have been after a hiatus, after a season break. Even though Nickelodeon reruns the episodes, of course, but maybe that's what it was. So, benefit of the doubt from a television perspective, from a week-to-week perspective, from a home video release perspective, not so much. You literally could do without those 3 episodes. Maybe not Forgive and Forget, because there are certain things in there that you might want to pick up. But I'll get to that in my likes. When other dislikes, past that, there's not really any other dislikes. It's just that those 3 episodes seemed useless to me. Things that I did like. If you'll pardon me for a second, because the camera is blinking at me. So other things that I liked. Oop. Five, four, three. Sorry about the little transition there, folks. My camera started to die on me as I was getting to my likes, the things I liked. I've spent a few minutes bashing this thing for 3, fairly bad episodes. I shouldn't say bad. Unnecessary, superfluous episodes. So then, the stuff I liked. I actually like reusing some of the monsters. We get reuse of 3 monsters here, I think, in total, between these episodes. Definitely Ice Age and Stingrage. And I appreciated that, actually. I like the fact that they bring the monsters back, and because now you have it almost creates another level. You have Monster of the Week, you have the generals, and you have the big bad, but now it's almost like you have the Monster of the Week, you have the returning guest monster, and then you go up. So we have a couple of what I'm now going to officially refer to as returning guest monsters. So that I really enjoyed. I liked that. So I'm pleased with the return of those characters. I'm pleased with Heckle. I like Heckle as a main villain. I like that he interacts directly with our Rangers. I like a lot of that character. One thing that has to be pointed out here, Heckle has no Super Sentai equivalent. Much like Sledge, where Sledge is a completely original character for Dino Charge. He has no equivalent in Kyryuger. Neither does Heckle. Snide does. And for those out there who do not get the joke, it's Jekyll and Hyde, or Heckle and Snide. That's the dichotomy they're going with there, the play on words. But like I said, there's no Super Sentai equivalent to Heckle. He is based very loosely on a character from Go Busters, which was never adapted into Power Rangers. They skipped that season. He is loosely based in many ways on Enter from Go Busters, but the character himself is totally original to Power Rangers. Snide appeared in one of the Kyoryuger movies as essentially a reincarnated version of a Abba Ranger general. If you watched, I believe it's Zeltrax, if you watch Dino Charge. But Smitty, Tommy Oliver's old friend that becomes one of Mesogog's generals. He's essentially the reincarnation of that character in Kyoryuger in one movie. But here they make use of that costume and create a totally new character with it. He's not the return of an old Dino Thunder general. He is a brand new character. And I like the dynamic between them. Some people have pointed out that the dynamic between Heckle and Snide is not dissimilar to the dynamic between Mesogog and Anton Mercer from Dino Charge. Anton Mercer was a rich dude, the scientist that could transform into Mesogog. But they had almost entirely separate consciousnesses. One did not necessarily know what the other one was doing. Mesogog knew what Mercer was doing, but Mercer didn't necessarily know what Mesogog was planning, or that he was even the same guy. And eventually, they get separated at a certain point in the series. Don't know if that's what's going to happen here with Snide and Heckle. But one of the things I really do like is I like the concept that they know each other exists. They can communicate with each other even though they don't know each other's thoughts. It's a very interesting dynamic with Heckle speaking to Snide through a pocket watch. Gives me a slight Doctor Who vibe for odd reasons. And then with Snide communicating with Heckle through a similar jewel or locket on his sword. So it's an interesting dynamic, and they don't always agree. In fact, they often don't, and they screw with each other's plans. It's really weird, but I like it. It's a main villain with inner turmoil through split personality, where the personalities can talk to one another. Pretty interesting concept, and I do dig that. And if anything, maybe that's a reason to watch episode 2, to watch Forgive and Forget, because you see that dynamic really play heavily into the story. I like that they explained off the Aqua Ranger. I thought they probably paid it off quickly, more quickly than they had to. But I appreciate the fact they explained off why he's so young, why he hasn't been around. He hasn't been around because he didn't know any other Rangers existed. He's been on the run for 10 years. He looks the same he did in all the pictures from 10 years ago because he has a inner gem, and the inner gems keep you from aging, which they have long since established in this series. There were some people out there who were questioning, why is he as young as his son? Well, because he has an inner gem. So there's lots of goodness to be had in these few episodes. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do going forward. I look forward to the emerging relationship between Tyler and his father. I look forward to seeing how they integrate the Silver Ranger from Kyoryuger. I'm very much looking forward to that. There are still some costumes we haven't seen on the hero side, so I'm interested to see if those will ever show up. Torin is the one in particular that I'm really kind of questioning if and when we're ever going to see the Torin costume. Torin was the mentor in Kyoryuger, and he eventually became Kyoryu Silver. So I would be really interested to see what they do there. And like I said, all the way around, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do going forward. But what I really hope is that Disc 2 here gives us some more meat than filler, because we got a lot of filler on Disc 1. Not as strong a start as Dino Charge. had. So, not a disappointment, but it's got some work to do, and we're going to hope that they pull it off. So, folks, that's disc 1. We got 3 parts to go, and so 3 more weeks of the Dino Supercharge, and then we jump back into the world of Metal Heroes and start checking out Space Sheriff Scheider here on the DenziBlitz. That's going to kick up in about a month's time. Now, one bit of housekeeping just to get out of the way. We will be skipping our ongoing DenziBlitz episodes, our regular DenziBlitz episodes, on Halloween week. The ECS Network is going to be doing special Halloween episodes all week long. So you're either going to see a special episode of Kana and Mike's Movie Night, or perhaps a special DenziBlitz, or you're going to see basically 2 episodes of DenziCaster. I frankly haven't figured it out yet. But all the shows are going to be doing something special for Halloween that week. And so we will take a break from our regularly scheduled Blitz on Halloween week for the most spooktacular week of the year. So that was a horrible voice. I have no idea what I was trying to do right there. But at any rate, we hope you'll join us next week for more of Dino Supercharge. In the meantime, jump over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/DenziCaster. We'd love for you to like us there. If you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Both of those things help us out a lot. You can jump over to our Cafe Press store, cafepress.com/ECS Network, and check out the cool DenziCaster t-shirts, such as the Space Sheriff style DenziCaster shirt that I'm wearing right now. Will be very timely here in about a month. So check out that over there. Grab yourself a cool t-shirt. Help us out here on the channel, because we would love to get some more lighting, new cameras, lots of things you guys can help us out with on that end. So folks, until next time, I'm Mike, and we'll see you next week with more Dino Supercharge on DenziBlitz. See you then.